Peace and love, beautiful souls, high vibrations and all that good shit. I want to take a moment to kind of talk about relationships because I had made a side-by-side video earlier in which the brother was speaking straight facts, because me being somebody who's been relationship driven, you know, my whole life. I've been in a 13-year relationship, 7-year relationship, 5-year relationship, and I'm 43. You get what I'm saying? So I spent like over 27 years of my life in relationships. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm somebody who done cheated. I done not been able to have the hard conversations. I've been unauthentic. I'm talking about I done been all of that. You know what I mean? So it led me to this understanding when it comes to this relationship thing, that when I speak on like having the longest relationship in your life is with yourself, it doesn't take away from the quality, right? Or even the commitment or the power of commitment. Because falling in love requires two people. Because really, love is not just, it's yours to share, right? So we're sharing this thing called love. That's why sometimes somebody can come along in your life and spark a level of love in you that you never felt before. Now, when I began to realize this as a man, because society started teaching me that I can't love two women. I've been in that mental enigma before when I was in love with two women. And I didn't understand what was going on because I wasn't able to have the hard conversation and the real conversation with myself. So when I started to realize like what I was trying to escape from in my relationship, because I was starting to judge this woman, but I wasn't able to have the hard conversation with her. And then I didn't know how to love unconditionally. So I didn't know how to honor her conditions and start being the change I seek to see in her. So a lot of times, you know, we get with these our women and they've been through so much. They've been through so much, they've been absorbing so much, and they've been through so much with so many other men before us, or whatever the case may be. If our own insecurities as a man instead of coming out every time we having a conversation, and we start to feel like the victim, we start to feel attacked. And then your woman is feeling like that too, because now every time you talk to her, you know, just like what the brother was saying in the video, she started to want to defend that. So the first thing we start doing is playing the blame game. So we're in a power struggle in relationships. Why? Because your feminine energy is your power. Your masculine energy is your love. We are both. So the more you love yourself, the more you're able to walk in your power. So this is why this marriage within the self is so critical. This union, right? So even if you're talking about commencement, or when you're talking about communing something, or when you're talking about bringing something together, this is like you. Because this void that we feel, this lack of love, is like a direct reflection of what you did or didn't get from your mother, your father, or the ambiance that you had growing up. So a lot of times we get in our own way because we have all these controlling thoughts when it comes to love. So that's why when it's hard to have the hard conversations, because somebody start to feel attacked. That's why conversations are like a conspiracy between two people, because one word can trigger everything. And now you're fighting to be seen, you're fighting to be heard, you're fighting to be understood. You're thinking that the person is understanding where you're coming from. It has a lot to do with this English language too, but I ain't gonna even get into that in this video. But the English language is full of, that's why we gotta pick our words versus just getting straight to the point. Because we're so empathetic as people, we're aware that when I say something, it's gonna make you feel some type of way. And if I love you, that's the last thing I wanna do. So as a man, I found myself when I'm having these hard conversations, or the lack of them, when I was having it myself, and I got in my mind that she wasn't going to take it, she ain't going to want to hear it, it led me to the side chick. It led me to an outlet, because I wasn't able to be that person that I wanted to be, or be myself with the person that I was laying with. Now, that had a lot to do with the victim mode that I'm in, but it also had a lot to do with the person not being able to receive the words that I'm saying, and it's not coming from a place of like disdain. Like when I'm criticizing you, it don't mean that I don't love you. It means that I'm seeing something. It's a repeated behavior, because observement has to lead to judgment. That's Libra. That's relationships. We got to judge. We got to be in a place say, wait a minute, this is not reciprocal. I'm giving something and I'm not getting back. Now, the compassion allows me to recognize why this person can't give it back. That way, I got to recognize why I'm internalizing what's going on with this person. See, this is when you start to honor the conditions so you can learn to love unconditionally. Because everybody you meet came with conditions. They had somebody before you. They had my mama and daddy. They got their own birth chart. They got their own numbers. They have their own worlds emerging when we meet people. Universes. This is like the clash of the titans when we meet people sometimes. So it's hard to integrate this world when you're not aware of your world, when you're not aware of yourself and how you showing up. Because you begin to show up as a shell of yourself. Hence why women always say the man shows up as a representative. Because all he's doing is showing up and being all the things that he know the woman is looking for. He ain't being himself. See, that's what this world trains a man to be. So that's why it's so hard to be a man, because being a man in this world, especially a black man, ain't being yourself. So the first thing I had to do was let go of that concept of what it meant to be a black man in America. Because a black man in America is a white man's concept. I'll say that again. A black man in America is a white man's concept. You got to have accomplishments and achievements to deem that you are a man. You got to have all this shit. You got to have the cars, the clothes. Now women are looking for that because society have socialized us and civilized us into that place of not being able to recognize somebody's true presence in your life. Because you don't see them for who they are. You see them for who you want them to be. This is where expectations come with titles. Now, we deserve to have these expectations, but when your expectations are rooted in trauma, when your expectations are rooted in this void that you have within yourself because you have yet to realize that the longest relationship that you have in this life is with yourself, the power of you committing to something is always going to be tainted. So when you talk about committing to something, this is a willingness to be with somebody. So when you're willing to be with somebody, that means I'm willingly in this relationship. I want to love you. I made a choice to love you. This ain't no chemical reaction from my body because I can't explain why I can't get away from you. This ain't no, I gotta fight to love you. No, you are surrendering to love. That's why I call falling in love. But if you don't trust yourself, you will lose yourself. And I always tell every woman, you got the right to change your mind. Brothers, you gotta stop being so possessive over these women. Because when a woman checks out on you, a lot of times nothing that you can do is nothing that you can do to get her back. So this is why when a man is in this relationship and he starts to feel that void because we're not having a hard conversation, he gonna go cheat. And he's gonna go try to find somebody else that's gonna relate to him on an emotional level because guess what? We vulnerable too. We look for connection too. We wanna be desired, we wanna be loved, we wanna be seen, we wanna be heard. It's just not in a way that you think. It's just in a much more way of just recognize me for my pure presence. That's it. Now, if I can't do that for you as a woman, it's going to be hard for both of us to share that because I can't give you something that I don't have. So remember this, the person that you're in love with can't love you in ways that they don't love themselves. They can't show it for you in ways that they can't show it for themselves. They can't understand your value if they lost in their own lack of sense of self-worth. So this is not about filling a void within the body, within yourself. This is about showing up more whole and complete in every relationship because every relationship is a reflection of you. And I'm going to end with this because I tell people, turn every relationship into your life into a spiritual experience by being the change you seek to see in people. Be the change you seek to see. It'll change everything about you. And once you realize that I've already been the change I seek to see, I've loved this person for who they are, not who I want them to be. I've already exalted and given so many parts of me. There's only one thing left to do. This is where the fear kicks in. Because this is where a routine, a relationship can turn into a routine and an obligation. So sometimes we don't know how to lead people because we feel obligated. And don't even get me started on the spells of marriage. To death do us part and all this old kind of shit. But namaste anyway. Maintain that one ship.